Hello, my beautiful watchers, and welcome to my celebratory Q&A for changing my channel name. Big old rebranding. Yeah, I don't really have an intro for this one. Sorry, this is one of my very, very few occasions where I'm talking without a script. And you may or may not be aware that I super hate doing this because I feel like I ramble and trail off a lot. But yeah, so hopefully this is going to be at least partially understandable. A fair warning, you're also going to be seeing a lot of like radically different t-shirts and facial and haircuts all the way through this because I'm doing this in my free time in between videos and stuff like that. So consistency is not going to be our friend for this particular Q&A, but yeah, let's just jump straight into it.
Hey Dom, since you're doing Game of Thrones for Lost in Adaptation, I wanted to know, is there any other television series based on a book series that you'd like to do for future Lost in Adaptations, and if so, what? Love and support from Canada, by the way.
And hello to Canada. I'm looking forward to visiting that country again in July when I fly up for Con Bravo. In regards to the TV show thing, obviously the official answer is all of my Lost in Adaptation episodes are currently being chosen by the top tier patrons because the list is still super long, and I feel it's important that I try and work through those as quickly as possible because people have been waiting for so long for their requests. If I was to pick my own, obviously I would have a big interest in Good Omens, which is coming out next month, I think. Just because, you know, I'm such a huge Terry Pratchett fan. I don't know, I obviously don't have time to do anything like too huge for it, but I might have time for some vlogs or something. I can maybe sneak some of those in. If people are interested, let me know in the comments.
My name's HQ, so I kind of also want to try and do some YouTube stuff, especially movie critiques, but the problem I've always had is I don't really know how to access movie files to actually use in my videos, so I'd like to ask, like, where do you usually get the movies that you do your reviews on? Do you like burn them from a DVD, or do you get a digital copy or something? Just friendly bit of advice, please.
Yes, DVD ripping is the standard way that most YouTubers do it. If I'm in a time crunch, what I'll sometimes do is purchase the movie on YouTube and then use screen capture software to just get the parts of it I need as I work through it. So both are easy options. There's no like standard way of doing it. If you can get a digital file sent to you and can upload that to your editing software, by all means do that. I don't think there's any particular way which is superior.
Hi Dom. Quick question. What are some things you think should be shown more in stories, movies, etc.? Peace out.
That's an easy one, actually. I would really want to see non-romantic male-female relationships become more common, some strictly platonic friendships, because even in this day and age, it is shockingly rare to have, two people of the opposite sex hang out for a significant amount of time in any fictional setting and not end up falling in love. I mean, is it too much to ask that people not keep pushing this stereotype that you just cannot have, a non-romantic friendship with people? I think that's kind of a damaging stereotype that's being pushed way too hard in, all forms of fiction.
So, I was walking down the street last night. I saw a man, turned out to be Terrence. Apparently he was drunk and rambling. I heard him saying something about how he really hoped that Kaluna wasn't a Hufflepuff. I don't know what that could mean. But anyway, my question is, so have you heard about the letter that Rick Riordan recently released to the Percy Jackson movie executives criticizing them basing their script? And if so, what are your thoughts on it?
Well, first of all, Kaluna is a Ravenclaw, and Terrence should be aware of that. Secondly, I haven't, but that sounds fucking hilarious.
Hey Dom, my name is Nati. I'm from New York, and my question pertains to, well, your name. Do you want to change it to like another reviewer-based name, or are you just going to change your channel name to something different and just keep your regular name? Obviously, your personality is charming enough without the need for a moniker or anything like that. I'm just wondering, out of curiosity, do you want a different name, or are you just going to keep your regular name and change your channel name to something different?
Well, as you can all see now, I changed it to Dominic Noble. Noble is I think it's my great-grandmother's maiden name. I'd have to double-check that, but yeah, it's a family name on my father's side that goes back a couple of generations. And yeah, I was going through a lot of options. The original plan was just to make the channel Dominic Smith, but there was a a famous baseball player that's on the up and up now, who's of the same name, and he's kind of hogging the search engine optimization there. So, I mean, I just want to be Googleable someday. I want someone to be able to Google me and get my face popping up as the first result. So I knew I couldn't use my normal name, which is, as I said, the original plan, and I didn't want to jump into another call sign. Because I chose so poorly the first time. So yeah, this seemed like the ideal compromise between reality and fiction.
Do you ever have those movies or books or any type of media that you find yourself being an apologist for? Like, say you're in a room with friends and they're all like, this specific piece of media sucks, and you're like, no, I kind of like it. And it's like you're going up against the Bolivian army? I'm
trying to think of like a group of things that I felt the need to be an apologist for. I quite like Solo. I realised I was sort of paddling against the current on that one, but I thought it was a fun movie. Used to read a lot of Star Trek Extended Universe non-canon stories. I didn't feel particularly strong urge to apologise for that, and it was mostly just because my dad owned a bunch of them and he kept them all on a shelf in a bathroom at home. So if I was taking a long shit, I would just read them then. So that went TMI really fast, didn't it?
Hello, Dom. Greetings from Germany. First of all, I'd like to apologize if my English is in any way offensive to any native speakers because, German guy. On to the questions. First question, have you read the Underland Chronicles by Suzanne Collins? Because I've read them in my childhood and I think you mentioned them in your Hunger Games Lost in Adaptation. But I don't quite remember. Second question, do you have any fantasy book series you'd like to recommend to me? Because I've read all the big ones like Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones, and all the other stuff. Is there any lesser known fantasy book series you think is really, really good? Anyway, have a good day and goodbye.
Well, first of all, your English seems flawless, so nothing to worry about there. I haven't read the Underland Chronicles, so I very much doubt I mentioned them in those reviews. You may have imagined that, sorry. The Hunger Games was authored by a lovely lady by the name of Suzanne Collins, who had already written a hit series of books called the Underland Chronicles, so I very much doubt I mentioned them in those reviews. You may have imagined that, sorry. The Underland Chronicles. You may have imagined that, sorry. The Underland Chronicles. In regards to the fantasy recommendations, I'm really more of a science fiction guy, so I don't have too many to recommend. You might want to consider reading The Dragon Riders of Pern by Anne McCaffrey. That's a really good series of fantasy books. It actually starts out as science fiction, but it becomes fantasy quite quickly because, well, you'll see when you read them. But there's lots of dragons, and dragons are always awesome.
Hey Dom, I've been a fan since the Harry Potter-a-thon, and you inspired me to try making my own videos. I can't wait to see what's coming in the future. But with that being said, is there any previous Lost in Adaptation episode you look back and go, oh, I could have done this better, or why the heck did I do this? I know as creators, we'll always look back on our earlier works with some disdain. Is there any particular Lost in Adaptation you would do again? All the best for the future, Dom.
Okay, well, first of all, I really like the sort of artwork animation thing you were going with there. That's really cool. I mean, everything I've done, once it's more than a week old, I've looked back on and gone, oh, I could have done that so much better. But the one that really does stand out the most is the very first Lost in Adaptation I ever did, Starship Troopers. I've mentioned this a lot in Q&As, but if there's any I could redo, and may well redo someday, it would be that one, because I think I missed a lot of very, very important stuff. Because it was the pilot, because I was just trying to figure out what I was doing with Lost in Adaptation stuff, I missed a lot of very important things there. And I basically just scratched the surface level stuff. So yeah, if I had to pick any of them, it would definitely be the pilot episode that I would redo.
Hi, so I was wondering, are there any books from your childhood that you really like and really remember? Like some lesser known ones, maybe. Thank you. Bye.
My memory is just really, really, really shit, so I can't, off the top of my head, think of any lesser known ones. I would actually have to go and look through my bookshelf in my childhood bedroom back in England. It also depends on how you classify childhood, because if we're going super young, I would probably say the Redwall novels by... how do you say his name? It's like French or something. I'm gonna Google it. Brian Jacques, anyway, those Redwall books. Slightly older, I got super into the Thrawn trilogy, I think that's by Timothy Zahn, who also wrote the Cobra books, which I should talk about at some point. Let's see. Slightly older still, I got super into the Marsville Costigan books by Lois McMaster Bourgeois. Again, why am I so bad at saying people's names? I just pick any name in the world and I'll mispronounce it for you. But yeah, those are the ones that really sort of spring out to me as favourites from when I was younger.
Hello, Mr. Dom. My name is Molly Weasley, and I have a question for you. Would you rather be trapped for a month in the Harry Potter universe with Terence Boot, or trapped on Discworld for a month with Granny Weatherwax?
Well, it's kind of a no-brainer, really. Granny Weatherwax is a badass, and Terence is a douchebag, so... For the non-Terry Pratchett initiated, Granny Weatherwax is basically what Olenna Tyrell would be if she was slightly grumpier and had magic powers.
What was the piece of media that led you towards the idea of creating Lost in Adaptation?
Well, I've touched upon this in other Q&As and like reviews and stuff, but Lost in Adaptation wasn't something that I originally conceived as a show. It was just doing what I was already doing when I go to see film adaptations, but in front of a camera. But the thing that got me really into doing that got me obsessed with adaptations, was Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. That was my first big experience with being so phenomenally disappointed with a filmmaker's interpretation of a book. Because I was so super excited about Harry Potter, and I was really optimistic for the film as well. Like, I was having dreams, literal dreams, about going to see this film and it being awesome. So, yeah, I went in with a perfectly positive attitude, but I was just so very unhappy with their, Columbus's interpretation of Harry Potter that it sort of sparked off a lifelong, I don't know, whatever the fuck I am now, adaptation critic lifestyle. Another one was Starship Troopers, which is why that was the first ever episode of Lost in Adaptation. I wasn't quite to the same level of disappointed with it, partly because I think I actually preferred the film. But that's one of my earliest experiences of thinking, gosh, that's very different from the book. I wonder what was going on there. Turns out a lot was going on there. I didn't mention that in the episodes. As I believe I've mentioned, gonna possibly come back to that one.
Hello, Dominic. I've got 3 quick questions I'd like to ask you. 1. While most video game adaptations are usually disasters, what is a way you think they can improve on them? And you're not allowed to say that just stop doing them. You never get good at something if you don't keep practicing. 2. What is an adaptation that you would like to see from a book or a video game that you know would be a disaster, but you want to see it out of morbid curiosity anyways? And last but not least, what is a passion of yours that you don't get a hobby or a passion that you don't get to talk about much on YouTube? I'm really curious.
Okay, well, you got me on the first one, because I was just going to say stop making video game adaptation movies. All of these questions seem to make certain assumptions about me, mostly that I would have an opinion on all of these things, or that I have hobbies that I don't talk about. I'm trying to think so I can give some sort of answer. Okay, 1. Video games. The only times I've seen it go okay is when you take an extended universe and tell a story within that video game's extended universe, instead of trying to directly adapt the game into a movie. So, take for example the miniseries that came with Halo. Master Chief featured in that, but he wasn't the main character, and as a result you got to have characters that you could develop and stuff like that, and you also got a kick out of seeing Master Chief in it, so that was a good balance. So that's what I'd say, is you've got to approach it sideways. Find something that's got a lot of lore behind it, got a really cool universe that's set in, and tell a story within that, which involves the video game characters, but isn't focused on them. For the record though, my primary answer is still stop doing it, because, you practice to get good at things that you have to be good at. You don't have to make video game adaptation movies. There's no need for them to exist. They're not fulfilling a necessary role in our society. They're just there. 2, I think I'd like to see Space Quest 7, the unmade Sierra game, be turned into a movie or like a mini-series on TV, because I think that fits the description. It would be an absolute disaster, and I think it'd be terrible, but I think I would have so much fun watching it. And I really don't have an answer to your third one, because I'm a pretty open guy. I've shared most of my passions. I've talked about my love of swords, like drawing shit. Obviously, like books and stuff like that. When you're a YouTuber, you're not discouraged from sharing your passions online. The more personality you put out there, the more people seem to respond to you. So I have been fairly open about all the things I'm super into. I don't have any sort of dark hobbies that I can't share for reasons. That's what you're wondering.
Hello, the Dom. I have but one question to offer you. Would you be in favor of a more book loyal Harry Potter remake at some point in the future?
Yeah. I mean, that would be a weird thing for me to be against, considering you did specify that it would be more book accurate. I guess you didn't say that it would necessarily be any good, but I'd be more than happy to give it a chance if they announced it. I'd be as excited as anyone else.
Hello, Dominic Smith. Rob Turner here. Big fan of Lost in Adaptation. And my question to you is, when I was a kid growing up, I used to love the Roald Dahl books. So a lot of Matilda, Jameson the Giant Peach, but especially Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Now, in both the versions that came out, so the 70s Gene Wilder musical one and the Tim Burton Johnny Depp one, there's a line they don't say, which is always my favourite from the book, which is, "My dear old fish, go and boil your head." Do you have a similar line or scene that you really love in a book that didn't appear in any particular favourite adaptation? Just wondering. Anyway, keep up the awesome work. Much love.
Okay, I get exactly what you mean, and I'm certain there's a whole bunch of lines, but my mind is going so frustratingly blank right now. So I'm gonna outsource this one. Can you guys let me know in the comments what is the best line from a book that never made it into a film? I'll pin whichever one gets the most upvotes. So choose wisely.
Hello, Dom from Hamilton, Ontario. I'm Willow.
I'm Evan.
And this is Bullet.
Say hi, Bullet.
Hi, Dom. And we're hoping to see you in a couple months at Con Bravo, but in the meantime, we had a couple questions. So my question for you is, what is your favorite new discovery of either a book or movie that you've made because of fan requests?
And my question is, if they do adapt any of the Polity novels, what would you be most excited to see in them?
Thanks a lot, and again, we hope to see you in Kelowna in a couple months. Have a good day.
Okay, bye. Say goodbye, Bullet.
Book-wise, I would say Percy Jackson, Who Censored Roger Rabbit, and the Scott Pilgrim comics, because I'd seen the film but hadn't read the comics yet until it came time to Lost in Adaptation. So those were three absolute gems that I might not have discovered if it weren't for the show. So super happy that I came across those. Oh, and Rambo, that was a pretty good book, actually. I enjoyed reading that one. Film-wise, it's a bit harder because all of the really good ones that I've covered for Lost in Adaptation, I believe I had actually already seen because their reputation had preceded them. So I didn't wait for the show, the episode to come up to see the film. I watch a lot of films anyway, so I can't really think of any like big discoveries through the show film-wise, the same way I did with books. As for the Polity novels by Neil Asher, I would be super excited to see Shuriken in action, Ian Cormac's personal weapon. Mr. Crane, the giant brass psychotic android, would also be way up on the list, and I'd be really keen to see all the war drones, Sniper and I can never see, you know what I'm talking about, the giant scorpion one, I can't pronounce his name. And even like Penny Royale and all the scary ones like that. So yeah, I mean, honestly, there's nothing I wouldn't want to see from that world. The giant Polity dreadnoughts, Jerusalem, Cable Rogue, all the really cool ones. I'd love to see the Praedor in action. I'd like to see everything on Spatterjay, the giant wooden ships, the sea monsters coming at them, the everything. Yeah, sorry, you want one thing. If I had to pick one thing, I'm going to go with Mr. Crane, because he's a badass and I want to see him. Not to blatantly name drop or anything, but I was actually speaking to Neil Asher the other day because he saw my episode reviewing the Polity novels and liked it, so that was exciting. And yeah, I will definitely see you at Con Bravo in Hamilton, Canada on July. I'll throw the date up. If anyone else wants to come and meet me there. I'm giving away free autographs this year. Last year I tried selling them and it was way too much hassle, so I'm just going to give them away this year.
Hello, Dominic from South Korea. I have 2 quick questions for you. Number 1, I'd love to hear more about your D&D campaign. Have you ever thought about recording your sessions or giving your beautiful watchers a 1-sentence summary of your campaign? Second question, have you ever received any gifts or fan art from your followers? And if so, which are some of your favorites? Thank you.
Wow, okay, I am honestly really surprised to get this question because I've always thought that talking about your D&D campaign or your D&D character is rather akin to trying to describe your dreams to someone, in that no matter how important it seems to you, it's always going to bore people. So, I'm don't get me wrong, I'm super excited to talk about it, but if you do agree with me there and you wish to skip ahead, I'll throw the time code up here to the end of this particular question. Okay, so my D&D character has a mustache, so I like to wear it to help get into character. I'm a bit of a method actor when I'm D&Ding. I also had a custom sword made, which will make more sense when I describe Sir Frederick Ducky the 16th too. Actually, the name probably explains the pommel in of itself. He's a bit of a character. I've always wanted to play someone a bit like an anime character who is an absolute idiot and seemingly insane and ineffective, but like mad sick in combat. So he's a swashbuckling rogue, so he does insane amounts of damage. He's really good in combat, but outside of combat he is a complete idiot, which is super fun to roleplay. Me and my friends have discussed recording a session. A few of them are actually really up for it. I actually was the one who said, could we not? Because I get kind of... It's kind of exhausting when you have to be... When you're being recorded, you have to be sort of on all the time. You have to be sort of enunciating, you have to be sort of careful about what you say, not talk over each other, and I kind of just wanted D&D to be relaxing and just be a bit of fun and not be about YouTube, because there is a kind of a thing when you're doing YouTube a lot is that a lot of your life becomes about YouTube, and I kind of just wanted one thing that I was going to do regularly that I didn't have to think about monetizing. So yeah, as I said, it was discussed, but we've sort of for now agreed that we're going to keep D&D just between us and not turn it into a podcast or anything like that. So sorry if anyone was interested in that. The campaign we're doing at the moment was written by a first-time DM, so I think he intentionally kept it kind of simple. We were on a quest to search for a bunch of magic rings to stop an evil wizard getting them. So but we sort of got fired from that for incompetence and for stealing from our employers. So we're just sort of kicking about at the moment, looking for adventure. I have had some really good fan art. What I'll probably do is put like a montage of it at the end of the video. A distressing amount of it is about Terrence though, but you can't have everything. As for stuff that's been physically sent to me, yeah, I should probably do like a whole nother video on that. Just do another, it's not unboxing because I already unboxed it all, but just another hey look what was sent to me video, because that was actually kind of fun. The one thing I want to make an exception about and talk about now is little Dom here. How cool is this? This guy is fucking amazing. That's what your waistcoat out for you, buddy. There you go. Yeah, so a fan sent me this, and I absolutely love it. Kaluna not so much. She is absolutely terrified of this guy. She says, like, he creeps her out. To which I usually respond, he doesn't like it when you say that, Kaluna. Actually, she's recording in the other room right now. I'm gonna sneak this into the living room and leave it on the sofa to scare the shit out of her.
Hey Dom, basic question right now. How has interacting with fans over the years via social media or conventions impacted you in any sort of way, like over the years you've been doing these videos and such?
Fan interaction always has been, and I suspect always will be, a very humbling experience for me. It is super gratifying seeing the enthusiasm people have for coming to meet me at conventions or taking part in things like this Q&A and stuff, because I mean every time I post a call for questions to be sent in, I'm just like, is anyone going to do it this time? And then there's always a just flattering amount of submissions. So I hope I never grow out of that feeling of holy shit, people are keen to to interact with me. There's probably a word for that I'm blanking on, but yeah, the impact it has been an entirely positive one. I've never been felt so appreciated in my life, so I just appreciate y'all.
Hi, the Dom or Dominic or whatever name we're actually using. I have 2 questions. My first question is, what do you think makes a bad movie so bad it's good? And have you ever been recognized in public?
Well, my tolerance for so bad it's good is not as high as some of my fellow YouTubers. I know some people revel in that shit, but a lot of the times I'm watching shit and it's like, oh yeah, it's so funny, it's so bad it's good, and I'm just sitting there stone-faced going, no, this is so bad it's bad. I think you have to have there is a Goldilocks zone for incompetence versus, what's the word I'm looking for here? Earnestness? Is that the word I'm looking for? Is that even a word? Gosh, I'm bad at this. It has to be a genuine attempt to make a good movie that colossally fails. You can't set out to make a bad movie. You know what, there's lots of other YouTubers who give much better answers to this. I tend to avoid bad movies if I can help it, unless I'm super drunk, but in which case I very rarely remember them. So, same result really. And I've been recognised in public a few times now, which is an incredibly surreal experience. Because I'm ready for it at conventions, because that's like a little pocket universe where suddenly I matter. But when it happens in public, it does blow my mind slightly. The first time I think was actually at a political rally when I was back in Britain. It happened once just randomly on the street in Liverpool. I was with my mother, who was so excited about that. That was a bit embarrassing. Let's see, and then it happened once in America. I was in, what's it called, Ralph's, the supermarket, and there's a guy apparently lives local, so he was really nice. So yeah, it's always fun. If you do see me on the streets, as long as you're not planning to kidnap me or anything, please by all means come and say hi.
Greetings and salutations once again, Dom Noble. I remain Matt Stores, and this is my roommate, Heinz Doggenschmerz. A toast to you, good sir. Well, from me anyway. He doesn't get to drink. No, you don't. In any case, your recent review of The Great Gatsby got me thinking about something, for I too was that uncultured swine who disliked the film. Well, the book anyway, I haven't seen the film. However, I did have a bit of a reason for doing so. At least at my school, it was required reading, and so I was predisposed to just dislike it on the principle of I had to read it. So I was wondering what your thoughts were on that subject. Is it better to force students to read a book that might be considered, good literature, good for cultural literacy, but be more inclined to dislike it, or just let students read what they want, and let them therefore have a better chance of liking it, but they might not get exposed to some of the quote-unquote classics?
Oof, that is a dangerous question for me, because growing up dyslexic, I had an utterly miserable time at school, and it took a lot of fighting, not fighting me. I mean, my parents, my teachers, they all had to push really hard to get me to keep going with education and not give up. So I'm kind of glad no one ever consulted me on what the curriculum should be, because when I was at school, I would have definitely said let them read what they want. Nowadays, maybe it is better to make sure they at least experience the classics, because they've got the rest of their life. People got the rest of their lives to read what they want. But I feel super hypocritical for saying that, so I'm going to have to plead the fifth on this one. Sorry, I don't think I'm really qualified to answer this.
Hey Dominic Noble, this is HutCD 2012, and I've been a big fan of your show ever since this particular moment.
The flip side of this is I'm going to be a lot less forgiving of them leaving stuff out. Only 12 chapters and you still couldn't include everything? Bitch, please.
So anyway, 2 of my favorite jokes in this series are jokes that we haven't seen in a long time, probably going back to your Percy Jackson days now that I think of it. Apologies if I brought up any bad memories by bringing up Percy Jackson. But anyway, those jokes were Reginald and the calm intellectual filter, and I'm just wondering if you might ever plan on using them again.
Fortunately, my memory of the Percy Jackson films has faded considerably over time, so I mostly just remember the books fondly, so that worked out pretty good. I was just thinking the other day that I need to do some more Reginald-themed jokes, because I hadn't done those in ages. In regards to the calm intellectual filter, that one my hands are tied a little bit more, because I do believe in the rule of 3 when it comes to jokes, so I could get one more out of the calm intellectual filter, but I've come to see that particular joke as pretty heavily tied into the Percy Jackson reviews. So if they ever reboot it, or there's a new novel I want to review, or something Percy Jackson related, I could work a calm intellectual filter into that review. But until then, I think I'm going to hold my third use of that in reserve. The fact that I've been cutting down on doing sort of Reginald-themed stuff or skits in general is partly tied into this rebrand where I'm trying to take myself a little bit more seriously, but it mostly ties back to when I quit Channel Awesome, because I had to take a long look at myself and my channel and the way I was going about it and decide, okay, how much of this was I just doing because that's what people who are part of Channel Awesome do. They do sort of extended universe, reviewerverse stuff, they do surrealism jokes and stuff, and how much of this is actually stuff I want to do and stuff that ties into my channel. And I came to realise that I some of it is a little forced. But I probably shouldn't abandon it altogether, because I know some people liked it, and I enjoyed doing it. I like doing the acting with myself, green screen stuff. So, yeah, I think I need to not I'm going to do what feels natural to me, which is less than I was doing before, but not abandon it altogether. So yeah, long story short, that's the end result of my soul searching.
Hello Dom, my beautiful YouTuber. I wanted to know why you kept replying to my somewhat strange and lengthy YouTube comments. Once I mentioned living in a pseudo-flat, and you wanted to know what a pseudo-flat was, and I explained it to you. And another time I mentioned the constant general alarms that were going off for no reason in my neighborhood, and you wanted to know what a general alarm was, and I explained it to you. And now I wonder, do you recognize my username? Do you feel like you need to be nice to me? Give me attention? What's going on? Bye!
To be completely honest, I don't have a great memory, so I'm not sure about the specific examples you gave, but my policy is that if I see an interesting comment, I respond to it, so congrats, you've been consistently interesting in the comment section, I suppose. Hello, Dominic. Now, you're probably wondering, what am I seeing here? Well, you only address your beautiful watchers. I am not beautiful. So, I feel like my only option here is to appear in the form of the single most beautiful, sexy, masculine hunk in the world. My question is, what research do you do for an episode of Lost in Adaptation? And is the research before you have read the books and watched the films, or after, so your opinions isn't influenced? Much love. What? Okay, fortunately, there was a written version of this question that was sent in with that video, so it is in regards to the research I do for Lost in Adaptation. I go about research the same way I went about writing essays at university. Start with Wikipedia, because even though that's not a very reliable source in of itself, it does usually provide links to references. So you read Wikipedia first, get the general idea, then follow all the links that it provides to verify the information and possibly get some more details that way. So, yeah, it's fairly simple. There's no great trick to it. If it's something like a comic book or something that one of my friends specializes in, I also approach them. My friend Linkara actually gave me some very helpful advice on the next episode of Lost in Adaptation Wanted, or possibly last. I don't know when I'm actually putting this Q&A out, so there's that.
How do you do, Dom? Or should I say Dominic now after the channel name change? I'm a big fan of yours from the Middle East. The name is Inanna, and I am a very big fan. As for my question, I've been wondering if there's a particular exotic place that you have on your bucket list that you really want to see before you die. And I don't mean as in a country or maybe a continent. And, well, it counts if that's what you want to go for, but I've been wondering if there's particular weird exotic places that you'd like to see. For example, the Niagara Falls or something like that. The reason why I appear as a drawing is because I'm honestly really, really shy and very, very finicky about my privacy. Thank you for putting my answer in your video if you ever do. Thank you very much, and hopefully I see your next review. Love your stuff. Bye-bye!
Most of the things that match your description are super lame and touristy. I really want to see Hobbiton in New Zealand. There's a mountain I once saw in a documentary, which I cannot even remember the name of now. See if I can find a picture that looks freaky deaky, and I really want to see that in person someday. And yeah, I've actually already seen Niagara Falls. I go and visit it sometimes when I'm in the area, because Hamilton, where Con Bravo is, which is my favourite convention, I probably mentioned that already in this Q&A, that's about an hour away from Toronto, so I usually go and see Niagara Falls from the Canadian side of things. So yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anything else I really want to see. A lot of it's kind of weeby. I want to go to Tokyo and see like the technology district. I'm told like by people who have lived there or been there that you have to take, if you're going to take a trip to Japan, you have to take like a whole week just to do Tokyo stuff. That's going to be super fun. I want to try the hot baths and stuff like that. Trying to think of something not Japanese related. There's a couple of things in Rome I'd really like to see, like the Colosseum and stuff like that. Same sort of thing in Greece. I'd like to see some of the ancient Greek ruins, the temples and stuff. Sorry, I know it's a bit more vague than you were suggesting. So yeah, I think that's kind of the list. Sorry, I'd never really thought of it in terms of specific things. I had been thinking in terms of like continents and stuff and things I'd like to do while I'm in certain countries. So it's an interesting question. I like the way you phrased it, because you made me think about it a lot more thoroughly than I have done in the past.
So just curious, what is your favorite Charles Dickens book? And also, what is your favorite adaptation of that book? It doesn't have to be the most accurate adaptation or anything like that. But anyway. And also, my second question for you. Have you given up on Dom Reviews You? Or, like, are you still accepting submissions for that? What's going on here? I don't remember if you've ever given us, like, a definitive, like, answer to that. I will see you in your next video, I guess, in your Q&A.
Well, my answer to your first question may surprise people who are familiar with my somewhat notorious dislike of Christmas, but it is in fact A Christmas Carol. And that's partly because I've not actually read all of his other books. I'm sure I might come across one that I like more, but for now that one holds the title. And as for my favourite adaptation, it has to be the Muppets version. Come on now. You know? I defy you to disagree with me there. You know, I actually really like that a lot of people just assume that I've read all the classics or all the books in general. I appear to have gained this reputation as this omniscient book reader. But yes, there's a lot of what people might consider like must-reads that I haven't experienced. But yeah, like I said, I like that that's everyone's natural assumption. It means I must be doing something right. As for your second question, yes, I am still doing the Dom Reviews You. I don't have any particular release schedule for them. I'm just doing them when the hell I feel like it. So yeah, by all means, if you have something you want to submit, just send it to this email address. With just a thing, you know, what's the thing I insist on? You've got to, you know, make sure it's a link to a YouTube video, not a file, and send written permission for me to, you know, show your work on my channel. And then, yeah, I'll add it to the list of all the other things that I'm going to look at the next time I do an episode, which will be whenever. Like I said, it's, sorry I can't do it more regularly, but I just have a lot of other projects on the go, ones that I'm being paid for, that have to take priority.
Hello, Dom. I mean, Dominic. So it'll take a little while to get used to calling you that instead. But what I've been meaning to ask is, since your Hobbit reviews, I've been wanting to know, what's your opinion on the Middle-earth games, Shadow of Mordor and Shadow of War? Have you played them? And if you have, what do you think of them as expansions to the lore of the Lord of the Rings? Thanks for answering this, by the way.
You guys can still call me Dom, you know. That's what all my friends do. Just because my channel name is Dominic now doesn't mean I'm going to, like, insist that you call me that and not respond to you if you call me Dom. Okay, so I have opinions on Shadow of Mordor, but it's not quite what you think, because I've not actually played it all the way through. So I don't know about the extended lore and stuff. The only bits I've experienced was when I was watching it over a now ex-girlfriend's shoulder as she was playing it, and I absolutely loathed what I saw, because it was just, I don't know if the person, if she noticed this, because she was playing it, so maybe she didn't pick up on it, but I felt like the dialogue was super annoying in that it was super handholdy and like patronizingly explicit about what you should be doing right now. Like, here's the example. This is what I saw, is she was trying to sneak from A to B in an orc camp. And the head orc was pacing back and forth next to a warg cage. And he was saying, "Oh yes, I'm definitely not afraid of wargs. Wargs are afraid of me. Wargs definitely are not my super phobia and fear. When I was born, they said, this lad is not going to be afraid of wargs. And please ignore this cage next to me that has a glowing padlock on it that you could potentially shoot with a bow and arrow that would release the wargs that I'm definitely not afraid of. This is definitely not what you're supposed to be doing in this level. And then it started again. It's like, I'm so very not afraid of wargs. And it took her about 10 minutes to get from A to B in this orc camp, sneaking around and stuff. So I had to listen to this orc, like, say over and over again what you were supposed to be doing. And so then I came back a bit later, and she was protecting an orc who was he was tied up, and he was going to be, like, executed by exposure or something. So they'd formed a temporary alliance, and he was sort of standing there going, oh, better make sure I don't get hit. You gotta protect me, Ranger, because I've got this, like, a soft underbelly and a soft outer shell, and, this is an escort mission. Be sure to protect me. Oh, yeah, no, I'd hate to be hit with swords. That would be a bad thing. And, yeah, so that maybe, just judging the entire game by that small bit I saw and absolutely hated was a bad thing to do, but it just completely put me off playing the game. So as a result, I never got to experience the stuff that I potentially might have liked, like the the lore and the index and stuff like that. So I don't know. Maybe if enough people encourage me to, I might give it a try. But I honestly don't have an awful lot of time for gaming these days because I'm doing YouTube an awful lot. So yeah, let me know in the comments if you think it's worth my time having a look at games like Shadow of Mordor and sort of judging it from an adaptation perspective.
Hi Dominic Noble. I've heard the popular career wisdom that the fastest way to suck the joy out of your hobbies is to start getting paid for them. Now, you make money reading novels, watching films, and then telling me about them. So, level with me? Is your job still fun?
That is a very interesting question, and the answer is complicated. I mean, if you desperately want a short answer, then yes, it is still fun. The longer answer is it's not as relaxing as it used to be. I no longer read just to chill, because I don't have time. I have to read what I'm given for Lost in Adaptation, so it does make it less fun and less relaxing, but I would not trade this job for anything in the world, because even with it being less fun than if I was just doing it at my own pace, it's still way more fun than having a 9 to 5, you know what I mean? So, yeah, I would say that it does come at a price. You are going to sacrifice some level of fun and relaxation if you start doing your hobby for a job. But I would still highly recommend it. If you can get paid to do what you enjoy, you grab that with both hands and you never let go, because you will not regret it. I should probably mention that is just my personal experience with it. Someone else might give a completely different answer and say, no, I'd rather just do my hobbies as hobbies, but yeah, speaking for me personally, I can't recommend it enough.
Oh, hello Dom. You just caught me practicing to summon my dragon for the upcoming War Against the Dead. Now, given that Game of Thrones is going to be ending soon, do you feel like, once George R.R. Martin has released the final book, that there should be a reboot of the show that adheres more closely to his vision, as opposed to where the original show veered off? Or do you feel like the current show has permeated the culture enough that in years down the line there wouldn't be enough of a market for such a show?
Wow, that was a very specific mixing of nerdy stuff. I'm very impressed. I never would have thought of a Power Rangers Game of Thrones crossover. I should probably say the key word there should possibly be if instead of when G.R. to the R. Martin finishes his books. Sorry, George, it's just facing reality. Reboots are tricky. In this case, I think you're going to have to wait quite a while before anyone's willing to do it, because as disappointing as these last few seasons have been, it's still one of the most successful TV shows of all time. So it's going to be a while before anyone's willing to risk being compared to it. And even when they do, you may be in danger of ending up in like the Shining situation where the more accurate one is also kind of lame compared to the original. So I wouldn't be amazed if it's quite a while before anyone takes another swing at Game of Thrones. And yeah, I really would have liked to have seen this version of Game of Thrones be closer to the books, but it didn't work out that way, and I don't think there's a lot of point dwelling on it. This may be a bit of a lackluster answer. Sorry, I've gotten a bit sort of disconnected from Game of Thrones recently, where it's not that I'm angry about it anymore, it's just that I've stopped caring, which is possibly worse, I don't know. So, yeah, sorry if this wasn't as enthusiastic an answer as you were hoping for.
Hello, Dom. I'm Christine from Saskatchewan, Canada. I just wanted to ask, you've been anywhere other than the States or England? Where would your dream vacation be? And or what was your favorite video, one of your favorite videos to work on? Anyway, this is Callie.
Aw, that's a good doggo. I think I've mentioned a few times in this Q&A now that Japan is my dream vacation. I'm just obsessed with that place because I'm a total weeb. Sorry, I can't quite remember what I've mentioned yet because I'm filming this over like several weeks at this point. Honestly, all my videos kind of are the same to work on because on a green screen and everything, I'm just here. I'm in a studio all the time. So from a production perspective, there's no real difference between any of them. I suppose the ones where I get to do like fun sketches and stuff are slightly more fun, but they're also more effort, so it kind of evens out. So I wouldn't say I have any sort of favourite productions, just sort of favourite episodes, favourite end results, that sort of thing.
Hey there, the Dom. Nick. Sorry, force a habit. I wanted your opinion on something. I was watching your videos on Ender's Game the other day, and I started to wonder if it was possible for filmmakers to separate their adaptations from the harmful ideologies prevalent in their source material. For example, adapting a work of H.P. Lovecraft and replacing the racism and xenophobia in his stories with an anti-racist message. Do you think the harmful messages of an original work can still damage an adaptation's integrity, even after the adapters remove or deconstruct those harmful messages? Oh, and on a personal matter, could you talk to Terrence? We went on one date, and now he won't stop messaging me. I keep telling him it's over between us, but not again.
Well, I mean, in regards to the specific example you gave, H.P. Lovecraft, I would say no. His fear of the unknown and how that translated into his xenophobia is kind of integral to the stories he was writing. So I think if you took out the don't trust the outsider message, you wouldn't be making a H.P. Lovecraft story. I mean, you brought up Ender's Game as well, and I think in that one they did do a better job of taking out the man's prejudices, because they dropped the only way to be happy is to marry a woman and have kids message that he sort of hammered home in decreasing subtlety in every novel. Yes, I'm sorry about him. Ever since Terrence saw Fantastic Beasts 2 and got a look at young Dumbledore, he's developed a bit of a beard fetish. You may have to shave if you want to get rid of him.
Hi Dommy, my name is Dayanara, huge fan of your channel. And I just wanted to know, do you have a favorite composer, like from any era? Particularly. For example, my favorite is Johann Sebastian Bach from the Baroque era. Love you.
And I love you, beautiful watcher. Even if I was into music, I suspect I am far too much of a basic bitch to be able to answer that question, I'm afraid. Yeah, never ever really put any thought into having a favorite composer, I'm so sorry.
Hello, Dominic. I have 3 more and very weird questions for you. 1, do you own a lava lamp? 2, how good are you at the game of darts? And 3, who is your favorite Muppet? Goodbye!
No, amazing, and Carl the Big Mean Bunny.
Hi Dom, this is Annoying American number 517, and from your videos I can infer that you are a fan of musicals. If this is true, what are some of your favorite musicals? And secondly, have you seen the musical Newsies? If you have, what are your thoughts?
Gosh, I think this is another one that's based on an incorrect assumption. I'm so sorry. I don't think I've ever expressed an affinity towards musicals, at least not intentionally. I've never seen Newsies. It's not that I have anything against them. I've just, they're just a thing. It's music in general that I just don't have much interest in, if I'm completely honest. I know a lot of people find that surprising, but it's just never played a huge part in my life, to be completely honest.
Hey Dom, if you could have any fictional sword, what would it be?
Ooh, fun question. I'm going to work on the assumption that we're not counting lightsabers, because they're only questionably swords. Aragorn's sword, I think it's called Andwell, is the first one that springs to mind. That's a really cool sword. There's a lot of really good options in A Song of Ice and Fire too, like Widow's Well and Oathkeeper would be fun options, because the ones that are in described in the book, not the show, because I really like the idea of like a dark red blade. That's really cool. Let's see. I suppose Excalibur would also be a logical choice, because then I get to be King of England. Comes with extra powers there. Yeah, there will be some changes once I'm in charge. And that, I believe, was all the submissions that were sent in on time. If I did skip yours, I'm super sorry. I didn't organise my inbox very well, so it wasn't on purpose. It wasn't because you did anything wrong, it's just because I suck. Thank you again to everyone who sent in video questions, and yeah, I hope you get used to me being Dominic Noble eventually. And yeah, I will see you in the next episode. Peace.